something of that nature, maybe a business that is trying to figure out, how do I navigate workforce? One of the big programs we have is Connect NWK. Connect NWK really matches up people with job and the personnel. We really want to make sure that we use this resource as a job board that can place jobs on there and also be able to collect resumes as well for connections. We've got a lot of great opportunities with this coming up. If you don't want to utilize your own job board, you can utilize ours by branding that on your own website. We don't have any problem with you taking that connection and using that if you don't want to do your own branding for the website. Some of the people we try to serve with this, there goes my name tag again, that's all right. For job seekers, we want to have obviously job listings, information about the company, because we want them to really start to understand who our companies are we're trying to get people employed at. Job details, online applications. There's still a lot of businesses that don't have an online application, so this is kind of difficult for them. With Maria taking this over, I'm sure she's going to be able to help automate this for people and help them get to a place where they can just hit a button and be able to see who's applying for their jobs. Job location map, there is a map on the website right now that is able to show you where the jobs are and be able to kind of see our area for different locations. And there is a section for students that's not totally built out yet to what we'd like to see in the future. These are some of the examples of the company details, and then you can apply for the job, and there's a deeper dive whenever you click on those to be able to see the details of the actual job itself. For businesses, we want to get quality candidates. We often hear a lot from businesses that we can't find anybody to work here. We've never hired anybody from this institution or that institution. Well, are you getting your name out there? So encouraging businesses to use this as another tool. The job dashboard, dashboard support, we have great support. That'll be transitioning with Maria, but Stu, that's been out here taking your picture from here and there, he's been kind of filling in for us on that. Stu is actually the author of this website and was able to put all this together with his business, Midwest Business Solutions here in Hayes. Quick approval and posting, we typically do those about every day. Hopefully, if they're posted the day before, they're up and live. We do have some criteria that we want to talk to you about that will help it keep fresh and keep it within a livable wage ability for them to be productive in your communities. And, and advertising the incentives is big, so we're going to talk a little bit about the county incentive program in a little bit. This is where we can advertise those county incentives that we offer to economic development folks to try to get some more people hired within their community. And it also provides a really great talking point for you to go into your business and be able to really have even a better relationship. And there's no usage fees on this. Being able to post for free is kind of a good deal. You know, a lot of the job boards out there have a lot of, if you were going to do a search and try to find a job within let's say, cybersecurity, you're probably going to get 3,000 hits coming up and then all kinds of different things that really don't fit you. This is more personal. This is more regional focused to where we can hone in, and you're probably not going to get a lot of spam off of it. We hope not. We've worked hard to hopefully not let that happen. We do have a criteria though. We do have we want everybody to have a job of $15.50 an hour or more. That is something that we feel like $15.50 an hour, a two-person household, maybe even a one-person household if they're renting, can probably be sustainable within your community and be able to contribute to your community. What's next? We have been talking a lot. We have not settled on everything yet at the board level, but we would also really love to hear from you all what you would like to see on the job board. Some things we've talked about is more community links, connecting people to the community, getting them the ability to learn more about where they're wanting to live, community info, meaning, how do I hook up for city services, where do I get my internet, where do I get my cable, all of these type of things. Maybe a rental list that a lot of the chambers maintain, being able to have access to those. Those actual lists may not be on here, but a link to them so they're current is probably a good way to go. And then community contacts, being able to get connected to the school and the different entities that you're going to interact with a lot is what we're hoping to have there. And there is and I know Dana's probably going to talk about this later, or I am. There is a QR code here on the table. We would encourage you, if you have other things that you would like to see on this site or within any of the programs you hear about today, please hit that QR code and give us feedback, because we'd love to hear from you all. Make My Move. Many of you know we have this program previous to 2025. We ended it in 2025. This program was really a great test to see how do we figure out how to bring people from outside of our region into our region for taking a job or a remote job. There were both. There were some success stories in some counties that really grabbed onto this and took off with it. However, a real limiting factor was housing. Housing and being able to get people placed in the kind of housing they expect was a real challenge. So we did decide to sunset that program. The movers that did move in have a second payment coming for their incentive. We are going to pay that out. But unfortunately, the expense of continuing the program outweighed what we got for results. So just a program update on that. And this is called several things. It's called CLIP, which is the County Level Incentive Program. And also, you may refer it to just the county incentives. Those are the funds that we give the economic development folks to be able to go out and try to recruit people to that county. Some of the program details, those of you that are involved in the county level incentives, you already have done this. You have set up a workforce board. Maybe it's your hospital HR person, maybe an HR person from a manufacturer, to maybe some small businesses that come in, and even your board members that drive what decisions are made with that. The beauty of this program is that we're not making that local decision, you all are. And we feel like you guys can make the best decision with those dollars as you move forward. And it was created, we hope, to be able to create another 150 jobs coming up, being able to get those funds that you may already have expensed, and be able to get any new funds that we're going to distribute once those expenses are calculated and distributed. We are going to be calling all of you that are involved in the program, or meeting with you in person to collect your 2025 data. That was one of part of the agreement, was to tell us how the program did. Tell us how many people moved, what salaries they're making, how many, was there a trailing spouse, was there kids involved that came to the community? Because our hope is that we're going to be able to take that data and put it into a matrix where it's going to tell you how much ROI was behind that in each county. And that will drive decisions forward. So we really are going to be needing to get that data in the next couple months. It'll be really easy because Maria's going to make it easy for you. We just need to collect that data coming up. And again, $15.50 an hour or $35,000 per job, and we'll pretty much catch a lot of the things that are out there in our region right now. You'll have a minimum of 6 recruitments. Is what would have been done. You can do $10,000. We are trimming the actual dollars that are going out per county to $20,000 this year coming up. And if you have funds that are left over, please expend those and be able to get those out the door before we send the other funds out. And we also need to get the other reporting requirements in. I went through that really fast, I'm sorry. We are going to have a discussion with a few of our folks that utilize the program. Billy Knowles with Phillips County Economic Development, Lessa Sexton with Wallace County Economic Development, and Tim Vines with Cloud County Court. Will you guys all come up and we'll have a discussion about how you use this program and what it's done for the community. Yes, we're going back talk show style. You may not be, you may be first anyway. Well, one of the first questions is, how did you hear about the incentive program?
Just emails and communication. It was just communication with the Innovation Center.
I was trying to think back on when we started this in Phillips County, and I think it was a semi-pilot program at that time. But yeah, I think you guys actually reached out to me about it, so I was grateful for that.
This program was already in place when I started in late 2024, although it hadn't really been used. I think there was one disbursement. We were laughing at lunch. I took this job thinking I was going to slow down and semi-retire, and I was way wrong about that. I actually learned most of what I came to know about this at this forum last year, and we got busy. We're really appreciated and thankful that this program exists.
Just go ahead and keep it, kind of go back down the line. Tell me a little bit about your strategy. You know, there's several ways you can distribute these funds. You can do them at a larger lot, $10,000. You can do smaller lots too. Tell me a little bit about how you developed your strategy on dispersing the funds.
Sure. The one award in 2024 that was made was an engineer, and that was valued really highly. Our leadership committee kind of assigns the value criteria here based on the job skill, competitive level, educational component to that, but also how it benefits the company. Does it tee the company up for growth down the road, and then how does the community benefit from hiring this individual? So there is kind of a different scale. I think we decided, though, kind of late in the process. We awarded 12 awards last year, I believe. One of those wasn't dispersed because they ended up moving to a family farm just on the other side of the county line, so they were eligible. Those awards range from administrative jobs to blue-collar jobs, and I think the award sizes were from $7,500 down to $2,000. Was our smallest award. In some of those cases, it was a husband and wife team. There was a pharmacist-teacher combination, 2 teachers at one of our school districts that were kind of critical subject areas. So it really the award size really kind of depends on where they were moving from. We had folks move from New York and South Texas from great distance, so they got a higher award. And then also kind of try to look at it through the lens of what is their salary and what would be a meaningful incentive for each of those.
Tim, just to add on to that, how do you think those people from far off found out about it? Were they checking your local site, or?
It was through their employer. The employers ended up hiring them. And we had some individuals tell me directly that was a difference maker for them. is that they had multiple competing job opportunities, but we were the only county, or that employer was the only one that offered a new visa. So it was that important.
So initially, when my workforce board got together, I think maybe we overthunk it. Overthought it, overthunk it. But we did have tiers initially for how much money, depending on the wage rate. We did try to keep it pretty, well, I'm not saying we overthought it, but we did try to keep it as simple as possible, just because while we had done our research and we held our community meetings and things like that, trying to figure out what areas needed to be covered, we still realized that we had local restaurants that needed to hire. We had, positions at the school that needed to hire. And so there was a different range of skill level and wage levels that we needed to cover. So we wanted to kind of reach all of those. Ultimately, last year, we decided to make it a one-tier, one solid amount, mainly because, and I hate to tell you this, that it's not been going as quickly as we hoped in our communities, but the ones that it does go to has gone to higher powered individuals at greater levels of leadership to kind of fill a lot of those different roles. So at this point, it's a pretty simple thing for us. We feel that we get to communicate with our employers and help them tailor these incentives to their needs. When we give it out, we have a simple application for it, but we have a whole sheet for their award timeline, is what we call it, and they get to tell us how they want to spend this money on their new employee, as well as what they're going to do with their required match contribution that they have to give us, or give to their employee. So we get to kind of work together to tailor it for each individual business.
Tell us just a little bit about the match. What did you require for match? It has to be equal to a 40-hour work week or 40-hour reimbursement. So that can be in PTO, that can be in sick time, equipment reimbursements, just whatever kind of reimbursements that they do. If they have a meal plan at the hospital, that can go towards a 40-hour equivalent dollar amount. So it's however they want to do that, as long as it is represented on their pay stub every month.
It goes to the employer, not the employee.
It goes to the employee, sorry. Yeah, it comes from the employer to the employee. Yes, it's just an additional benefit that they receive from the employer. It's very minimal compared to how much we give in the incentive, but that still goes a long ways, especially if you're moving in from out of town and you have no PTO. Well, with this, you come in and you could potentially have PTO hanging on for you.
That's a great idea.
Sorry, I asked a question. So your local incentive goes to the employer or to the employee?
Okay, so we give it all to the employer. Everything we do has to deal with the employer. I probably should clarify that. Yes, it goes to the employer because we basically put this program in their hands. Everything comes through us, but we want it to be their program. We want them to share that opportunity and that benefit with their employees. So we just help make sure that gets funneled where it's going to be. They have to report back to us quarterly with pay stub reports, different things like that. So we have a pretty strict reporting process, but yes, it does go straight to our employer, which they then distribute.
We distribute directly to the individual. It's my favorite job, yeah. I get my own chance.
Remind me of the question.
Sorry, go ahead. What is your strategy in developing your local workforce?
Okay, so this was interesting to hear everybody else's. So again, I'm Wallace County. I believe we are the smallest county in your guys's, in the magic corner here. And so I do think we have a little bit more ability to be agile, and we don't have a lot of structures that are inhibiting us or moving forward quickly. So we kept it very simple. All of my incentives, whether it's housing or storefront, if it's more than 2 pages, people don't fill it out. And we are just in a position where we're 1,500 people for the whole county, right? So it does me no good to hold on to the dollars. We have to get them out the door. So we've spent all of your money. And actually found other funding for this program because we were able to say that it was successful.
That's great.
and I can talk more about that later, but, so how we developed this program, simple application. It is not tied to a specific employer, because in what we need the entrepreneur to come into our main street, as well as workforce to go work for, this ag business. We need we need a younger lawyer to come to town. We need more mechanics of a younger generation to come and invest in our community. So we set it up so it's not just tied to a specific employer. We have a 50-point application rubric, basically, and based on, do we think you have the ability to live rural, right? And not just rural, but like really rural. Right? And so you can get 5 points if we're like, hey, you have experience like living somewhere kind of like this. And then there's just like 5 discretionary points, and then, we really talked about, we talked about like the engineer, and that's a high value. But my committee, we'd like to have this discussion on, does the person making $15 an hour, do we actually need to be supporting them more than the people who are getting paid, $100,000 or, $150,000? How are we trying to use these dollars locally to incentivize, who maybe needs it? Okay, so just structurally, we said we don't want to have this tied to one person or one employer. We give out half on your first day. So your employer, if you are an employer, if you are your own employer, if you are self-employed, you do the paperwork yourself. But we have just a simple MOU, your employer, and you sign it. You get half of your incentive on your first day. After 6 months, I just have to have some sort of written confirmation that you plan to continue, both parties plan to continue working together for the next 6 months. We have only had one incentive that did not continue for their second 6 months. And then we've had, so with the Innovation Center dollars, the 60,000, we were able to incentivize 13 people to come, or 13 incentives that brought 20 total people to the county, and 11 of them still are working in Wallace County. So is it, one more structural thing, sorry. I'm being wordy here. Another structural thing is, so when we would get the application, so we have the 50 points, right, rubric that we fill out, the whole group of us. And then, okay, so if you scored 25 out of 50, is that $5,000 or is that $0 because you flunked, right? And so figuring out what that matrix is, that if you got a 40 out of 50 on your application, I've got 3 different breakdowns, just a matrix that says you're gonna earn, or we're gonna say that you are maybe allowed an incentive between this dollar and this dollar. And then as a committee, we'll sit and talk about, well, the arbitrary things, that maybe are in the application that we would maybe put a few more dollars or a few less dollars.
The next question is, how do you evaluate the workforce needs for your county? I know some of you have already touched on that, but if there's any unique strategies on evaluating, which you just touched on, which is great.
I'm feeling wordy now. Yeah, I touched on it a little bit, right? So we don't want it, we didn't want it tied to a specific employer. And so again, this was the instance, we had one person that chose to leave the employment in the first 6 months, but he got new employment still in Wallace County. For his second 6 months, we just have to do the paperwork with the new employer, but we still want you there. Another just thing that we're obviously very ag-based, but we have a lot of especially for our large ag businesses and family businesses, there's a lot of H-2A workers. that are involved, and so great people over and over again, but it's very hard for them to bring their families, right? So when a wife does come along, they're miserable because they just have to stay home and they can't drive, right? And so really trying to include some of those people, some of those employers in these conversations of, hey, how maybe can we get you not a H-2A worker into your community, into this house, into the school district.
So last summer, we implemented a new business retention and expansion program in Phillips County, and I was able to visit so many businesses, and as a one-woman show, that was exhausting to cover my entire county, but it was very eye-opening. Because our program is tailored to work with the employer, we're empowering our employers, helping them stack incentives, helping them reach other avenues or find other avenues to reach out to potential employees. Of course, I took my packet. We have a nice little neat packet that we take around. So every employer in the county that I was able to visit last summer has a packet with all of our stuff in it that explains the program, explains why it's important, and they all got their little elevator spiel from me. So, but with this program, the whole point that, I guess, I feel like I just said everything I needed to say, but to me, it's been, our office, we have really expanded in what we're doing, and we see the value in helping others help themselves. And so by keeping in touch with my employers and understanding their needs and just checking in, making a simple phone call, stopping by and having lunch at one of the local restaurants, and then checking and saying, hey, how are you doing? I really realize that this server isn't working here today. Is everything okay? And they're so willing to speak with us about that because they know that I have that connection. But with this incentive program, that some of my businesses have felt a little bit restricted, I guess, but it also made them think, because if you're not paying your employees $15.50 an hour, maybe there's something you need to work on your end. And I thought, I had two failed applications in our first year, and it made my employers stop and think, maybe I need to reevaluate how I'm hiring people. What am I looking for? And so while it wasn't great that the applications failed, it was great that my employers had that realization, and now all of those positions are filled. So, and way more appropriately, those people have been there long term. So, I think that kind of covers it. Yeah. Our business retention and expansion program has changed how we do everything, and it has really made our workforce incentive program evolve that much greater.
For a long time, Cloud County had the kind of profile that a lot of counties have in this region, just kind of this slow population drain, where we were slowly every year, our head counts were going down and down, school enrollments were going down and down. And I'm really happy to say that recently that stabilized, and I think we're actually in a growth trend now. And the reason the population drain happened, I have 5 kids, none of them live in Cloud County. They all went to college and took fabulous jobs somewhere else, because that's where they were rewarded for their investment in their education. And this is a step toward kind of equalizing that playing field a little bit. And I think that's hugely valuable. And it also, we did more of this with Make My Move. We used Make My Move briefly before it closed. I think we issued 4 Make My Move awards, or awarded 4 Make My Move. Sorry, thank you. But with Make My Move, we did kind of unique packages, things like the tourism director would take them for tours of tourist sites around the county and things like that. That has not been part of this program, but that's one of the discussions we're having, is how can we bring that in so that when someone moves here, we're immediately trying to plug them into the community. And they're not gonna get that experience if you're going rural to urban. It's only when you go urban to rural that you get that kind of community and plug-in engagement. So really trying to think about how we emphasize that. We also have a couple of projects now in Cloud County that we expect and hope will lead to more tech job creation. and we know with that will come a lot more competition for fewer and fewer candidates. So we're thinking now about that challenge that we expect and hope will come. And I think one of the real solutions there is what you both had mentioned in terms of trying to figure out how to stack incentives. We're building new houses for the first time in decades in Concordia, for example, duplexes as well as single family houses, some of which are MIA, some of which are not. And part of that is credited to the Innovation Center's new building incentive, which is hugely valuable. But can we start trying to put together housing opportunities with incentives for employers, with this incentive, as well as perhaps some childcare kinds of incentives. So that's ultimately where we see that moving.
All right, I'm sorry about this in advance, but I'm throwing you a curveball. What has it done for your relationship with your businesses? I know we talked a little bit about Billy. You went out and did a world tour of Phillips County and took the time to do that. What's it done to your businesses to connect them to you?
I'm not sure I'm the best one to start on this. So, meaning Wallace County, community development, economic development, it's all new, right? So, prior to October of '22, with the Rural Champions Grant, with the Office of Rural Prosperity, we did not have community development, right? We did not have anybody in this position. And so, I feel like I have no predecessor to, or precedent to go from. I'm starting it all, and yes, it's a great talking point, and with your employers, and the idea that you're all on the same team, you're all trying to work in the same space.
So Phillips County Economic Development and Phillips County kind of have a colorful past, and I am the fourth economic development director that the county has had, and I like to tell this story because it made me teary. My parents go to church in Stockton, and my mom told me that somebody goes to their church that is from Logan, which is in Phillips County, and they figured out that they were my parents and said, it was just really awesome that somebody actually came to my business and wanted to talk to me about it. And they said, nobody's ever done that. And it was really eye-opening, and I learned a lot about PCED that I never would have guessed they did. And they said they were really grateful. And proud parent moment, but also I felt really good that it was received that way. And people talk, so, and you know, the more we get out and we interact with our businesses, I know that sometimes we feel like we're tied to our desks and constantly working on paperwork and grants and things like that. It was good for my mental health too to get out and check out what the communities had to offer. I still go to community coffees just to check in with citizens and hear what they have to say, because we don't just have workforce and housing incentives. We also have homeowner incentive, or we have a down payment assistance program now. We have a residential revitalization program.